Hi, hello, namaskar. What's up, everybody? This is Shubham Thakur here, and welcome to Shubham Thakur's Live Presents. So today we have our guest, Miss Bowie Lau, who is the founder and the managing director of Magehold from Hong Kong. Welcome, Mr. Bowie.
Thank you, Shubham.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. So let me start this session by asking you to give a brief introduction about you and your life. Yeah,
Sure. My life, it is a classic underdog story. I was
yeah,
born in Hong Kong and have my humble origins with a strictly middle class upbringing when I was young.
yeah,
In the late 90s, my family relocated to Canada, an experience that I'm always grateful for, as I learned firsthand the best of what Western and Eastern cultures have to offer. And it allowed me to form my own views of what was good and bad. As a young person, I was outspoken and a bit of rebel in some ways when it came to
yeah,
racial or gender discrimination. This character trait helped give me confidence in being a woman who can achieve anything despite a male dominated world. My early career was in the field of hospitality and hotel management in the United States, driven by my love for food and the experience of dining. But it was a hardcore service industry, and my biggest learnings was life is unfair, but you just have to suck it up and deal with it.
yeah. Absolutely.
I learned to be a humble person, a people pleaser, a people manager, and learned the dark meaning of customer is king. I put up my fair share of unreasonable, unpleasant, and unruly customer, but it helped me that I work with a lot of good and humble people in the industry. I moved back to Hong Kong in 2009 after the financial crisis, and I
Yeah.
was keen to rediscover my Asian roots. So it was a life-changing moment when I first met my future husband, who helped transform me from a strong feminist to an adorable daughter-in-law of India. Yep, my husband is an Indian from Trichy in
Yeah,
Tamil Nadu. So, Vanakkam, everyone. At some point towards 2017, the frustrations of the hospitality industry became a bit unbearable for me. So I decided enough is enough, and I wanted to do something different and meaningful. So then is when my husband, who was my strong pillar of support, gently guided me to into the fascinating field of venture capital, fintech, and blockchain in 2017. Something I have no clue about, but it had nothing to do with my previous career.
yeah.
And fast forward 4 years later, here I am now, actively involved in this field, learning and contributing as I grow in this career.
Yeah, absolutely. And second thing that that's a very wonderful story of your life, and I wish the quality you had, I can learn from you.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure. So as I earlier introduced, that you are the founder and managing director of Magehold. So could you please let us know that what Magehold exactly do?
Sure. Mitchell was the outcome of a vision I have together along with my husband about providing a hand that holds the cradle steady when a baby needs a stable environment to grow. In this case, babies is like startup. So
Yeah,
this philosophy is in a way that the opposite of the hands that rocks the cradles rules the world. We aim to support and inspire startups as the angel investors, but not dominate them like some venture capital firms do. So, in a nutshell, we have a simple mission of increasing the odds of success for startups in a world that is increasingly becoming difficult for startups to survive and thrive. We started investing since 2017, and given our unique stance as Make in Asia for Asia and beyond,
yeah,
we initially focused on Hong Kong based and Singapore based startups, most of whom incidentally actually from either had the ethnic Chinese or Indian founders. And we are usually sector agnostic, gender neutral, and our general focus is on interesting application of five emerging technologies, including AI, big data, blockchain, cybersecurity, and Internet of Things that we believe will majorly change the way the world operates in the next 10 and 20 years. Having said that, we also make exception for exceptional people and startups.
yeah. So as you know that from past couple of years, the term blockchain. is really get into highlight, and like people have very different theories about it. So could you please explain what is blockchain, and how can you you know how can you explain that how blockchain has implemented the fintech industry,
Sure.
impacted,
Um,
sorry, impacted. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the technical definition of blockchain is that is a immutable, distributed, decentralized ledger secured by a network of participants where trust is optional. As a fun fact, the name blockchain was coined, I believe, by Finney, who worked with the legendary Bitcoin inventor Satoshi Nakamoto, and we
Oh.
face the chains of blocks, refers to the original Bitcoin white paper. So it is a change of blocks of ledger-like information built over time that is agreed by a consensus mechanism by a distributed messaging between participants of a network. There are different types of consensus mechanism like proof of work, proof of stake, delegated proof of stake, proof of importance, proof of elapsed time, etc. There are quite interesting way to define decentralization. There are also permissionless public blockchains like public Bitcoin, Ethereum networks that anyone can join, and there are also permission private blockchains like Hyperledger, Fabric, Corda that require certain permissions for certain qualified parties to view or participate in network. In simple terms, blockchain is like women. It feels complex, but is immensely useful to those who can understand its power. So now you can understand why blockchain is like women, and here I can give you an example. Number one, women have immutable memory, especially if someone mistreats them. They will never forget it for the rest of their life. Second,
Yeah.
women naturally maintain a connected chain of all mistreatments in their head. So it is very difficult to win an argument with a woman who remembers all the mistreatment in detail. Third, women love to share details with each other regardless whether they trust each other or not. So trust is optional in the network. And they are one of the earliest and fastest networks in the entire human history. In fact, the messaging algorithm used in the distributed systems is called gossip protocol in honor of women's ability to move messaging faster through gossiping. Fourth, finally, each woman is unique and prefers to be respected and treated special and doesn't like comparison with each other. So, in other words, they are fairly decentralized. And also, certain women are like smart contracts and they automatically execute revenge if certain lies across or conditions are met. So, in short, blockchain is quite powerful like women, but don't mess with either one of them. So this jumps on the side, but blockchain is unique in a way that solves some of the key problems in the financial industry, like KYC, like know your customers, and AML, efficient and consistent payments and settlements, and democratize finance in a way we have seen before. Not all blockchain needs to be anonymous in terms of account structure, and it can help anti-money laundering and compliance audit trail as you cannot easily change records in the blockchain. So in a way, what happens has happened, and what's done is done.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to conclude this in one sentence for beginners. It's complicated. Yeah. Yeah. So let's moving forward to the next question. Is that you are an investor? So what do you think about investing in emerging markets and technologies?
Sure.
Yeah.
In the beginning, investing in emerging markets and technology can be quite exciting. It is almost like listening to a song, I Believe I Can Fly by Al Kelly. But like
Yeah.
any other favorite song, you will love it for 5 minutes, but reality kicks in once the song finishes.
Yes, absolutely. So, like as an investor, what is your view of Indian startup founder versus other Asian markets, and what are the similarities you see, particularly between founders in India and the South Asia, and what, if anything, makes you excited about Indian founders? Because as your husband is Indian, so yeah.
Great questions. Geographically speaking, we noticed that we click easily with startup based in South India, where my
Yeah.
husband is from. or with some sort of connections to IMs or NITs where my husband studied. So due to reasons of cultural familiarity. So in a way, we are mostly connected with startup based in Bangalore, Hyderabad, or Chennai regions. But we are, of course, working to get more comfortable with other regions or avenue in India. Startup investments are trust-based exercise that run both ways between founders and investors, and confidence, humility, and integrity are so-called key factors that we look for in a founder. Borrowing and adapting the immortal words of actor Rajini Khan from the Tamil film industry,
Yeah.
any investor was too greedy or any startup who was too arrogant never had a history of living well. We are glad that most founders we have interacted with, even those outside the common startup hotspot like Bangalore or Mumbai, have generally exhibited such character trait. Also, we are humble believer in destiny. In any startup conversation, we are mindful that often it is fate that brings us investors and startups together, and the
Yeah.
choices that we make at the moment could potentially lead to powerful outcomes for both parties. And we are also very clear that the world is a big enough place, and one should only be present in a story where there is a meaningful role to play. There have been instances where we tell startups that we might not be able to be the right fit for them, and it is not just because about the financial returns, but about the ability to co-create, add value, and enjoy building a business together. So we definitely prefer working with founders with mental maturity, regardless of age, and that is
Yeah.
compatible with our philosophy that it truly means to work together.
Yes, absolutely. And like there are so many startups in India which are growing rapidly after, especially after the pandemic. So yeah, that's a very great market. And so like moving forward to the next question, being in the pandemic after everything goes digitalized and everything is digital, and people are so focused and like in the pandemic we are not going out from our homes. So what do you think that customization and enhanced data tools have lowered the requirements for the wealth advisor skill set
Yes,
here?
yes. So with
Yeah.
the advances in technology, it has become easier to learn the tools required to become. But the true value of a wealth advisor isn't in purely studying the past patterns. It is to understand the customer's needs at any point in time, assess their risk appetite, and recommend suitable investment with a futuristic view to help them build sustainable wealth. In the old days, trying to understand the market behavior and predict the direction was extremely difficult. Most successful wealth advisors were really good gamblers in that sense, for whom I have great respect, as they have the foresight, intuition to try and predict the promising investments to make that we grow big in the future.
Yeah. So, what will be the biggest hurdles to the adoption of AI in financial service in 2021 and beyond? As
Sure.
things are changing rapidly, and people are more focusing on investing, starting up. So, yeah, and with the help of AI, it really affected and impacted all the sectors to grow exponentially. So, yeah, what's your point? What's your view on this?
Sure. Artificial intelligence is almost about playing God with machines, and created by humans, having the different senses and intelligence as humans do. So
Yeah.
it will take a lot of effort for people to fully trust and get used to AI, be it smart robot or chatbot. Some AI aspect like image recognition, voice recognition. The other part is about data, so understanding and explainability, we are still human that needs to understand intuitively the patterns that AI recognize to drive decision making. So just like young children, an AI will also absorb the bias of human behavior that will
Yeah.
10 colors. 10 colors is perceptions. So I'm a bit skeptical about unsupervised learning techniques and always prefer a human being to drive supervised learning technique when dealing with AI. So AI and machine learning are two different things. Machine learning use massive data to study and learn. So AI is basically using machine learning as part of the one of the tool to improve and to learn and improve.
Yeah. So as throughout the session we talk about the fintech industry. So, but there are so many young viewers who have no clue about the fintech industry. So, could you please explain in brief what fintech is? Yeah,
Sure. Just dive straight into it. That's my recommendation. Fintech
yeah,
is just like a swimming pool of liquid finance and technology. You start by jumping into a shallower end of the pool that is less regulated and gradually gain skill to swim in a deeper end of the pool that is highly regulated. And so, as someone who came from a completely different background of hospitality, I can credibly say that if I can do it, you can do it too. So there are plenty of ways to learn, and there's so much information online on social media channels. So you definitely can learn, and there's so many free courses available that you can pick up too. So and happy to be connected with everyone. And I guess you can find me over LinkedIn and happy to share. As a matter of fact, I do conduct a lot of educational talks in tech, fintech, blockchain, investment, and family office related topics. So stay in touch with me and you will be invited to join my events.
yeah. So I think we have come to the end of the session. So, Ms. Bowie, thank you so much for joining me on this show, and thank you so much for sharing the great knowledge and wisdom you have regarding the fintech industry and all over the. And thank you so much for everything. So
Thank you
I'm
for
honored
having
to
me.
have you.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Have a good one.
Yeah.